On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks stay alive, and their play-in hopes are still alive. We'll talk about that, how they got the win against the Kings, and Mark Cuban said some things about some stuff. We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
How about 10 Mavericks, NBA champions? Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager at Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you're here for the first time, or if you're here for a little bit, but just this season, this is when we let it ride. If you forgot, after every win, we let it ride. There hasn't been many. Thanks for being part of the show. Make it Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Subscribe or follow for free wherever you get podcasts or on YouTube, where the best way you can help us grow the show on YouTube is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know, what's one reason the Mavericks beat the Kings? There are several. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com. The King crowned crony, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Nick, we're going to go to church early today.
Take me to church.
I need you to call me down. I'm in the choir right now. I need you to call me down to the front for a solo.
Should I get the guitar out?
No guitar. You just gotta call me down. Say, hey, brother's gonna come down and sing a solo.
Okay. All right.
I'm waiting for it.
Come down and sing a solo.
All right, turn to page 42 in your hymnals. Let us sing. Because we live, the Mavs can face tomorrow. That's all I got. The Mavs live for now, and they can face tomorrow. They don't control their own destiny, but somehow they're still alive. And here we are.
We're dying.
Bound.
Oh my gosh, the Mavs kind of control their own destiny. Kind of. They still need to get some things to happen. But on today's show, we'll talk about how the Mavericks got the win against the Kings. We'll talk about the fourth quarter with Kyrie and Christian Wood going off, scoring all of the Mavericks points in the fourth quarter. Wild. We'll talk about that for sure. Talk about Luka Doncic, Tim Hardaway Jr. going off. I don't even know if we're going to have time to talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. and his dad and those comments. I'll probably save that for tomorrow. We'll also talk a little bit about Mark Cuban's comments before the game. He used to do a pregame media availability before every game. You remember those years? You remember that time? He was on the Stairmaster and he would do that.
Those stairs, man.
Now, lately, it's just been like once a year. And when he does, he just goes scorched earth. And so Mark Cuban said some stuff. We'll talk about it a little bit later. I'll probably save some of that for tomorrow as well. So come back tomorrow. We are 5 days a week, Dallas Mavericks basketball, and every post game, as long as those post games continue to be games. But let's start here, Isaac Harris. Mavericks get the win. 123 to 119 against the Kings team that, okay, I'm so sorry to do this. I know
you're going to do it. Don't give me the back-to-back.
Kings on a second night of a back-to-back. Mavericks on 2 days rest. Mavericks with their
nice things.
Backs against the wall. Kings with not a ton to play for. They could still get 2 maybe, but they're pretty locked into 3 right now. But the Mavericks thoroughly outplayed them in the second half.
Kyrie Irving, I mean, it was the Kyrie show. It was Kyrie's flat world, and we were just all living in it for that fourth.
Hold on, I got it.
It's great. It's great, dude. Dude, it's great. It's great. It's great, broski. Bro, name it. It's great.
What Kyrie did in that fourth quarter was the exact reason why you trade for him. Exact reason why, the owner of your team is going to say before the game, hey, we're going, we want him back and all this stuff. It's the reason why they're going to offer him a ton of money this offseason for those moments. I mean, there's not very many moments in Luka's career that you can forget about Luka in a fourth quarter. And I'm not going to lie. I forgot about Luka in the fourth quarter.
Me too.
I mean, it was just yes, Christian Wood had 12 of his 14 points in the fourth. He had some big moments. But what Kyrie did in taking over this, I mean, he literally took over the game and was like, I don't care what you try to throw at me. I mean, Davion Mitchell played almost perfect defense on him in that one possession, and where
corner?
he did it's like the kind of the elbow shot where it's like he did the fadeaway, he did a couple fakes, and then he did the fadeaway right in his face, and you're just like, there's literally nothing you can do about that. And when you have moments, when you have players that can pull off moves and shots that you can respond with, there's nothing you can do about that. Then there's only a handful of those guys in the league, and Kyrie Irving's one of them.
This game highlighted so many of the things that frustrate you about this Dallas Mavericks team, and then also reveals to you the things that can make them great, and I think will make them great if they fix a couple of things this offseason. The Mavericks gave up 22 offensive rebounds to the Kings. They lost the rebounding battle by 18 rebounds.
Dang, and they won.
And they won the game. But that's the thing. Luka and Kyrie are so good. The other players just have to give them a chance. Just give them a chance to be in a game like this, where I thought the Mavericks did, give them a chance in this game with their shot making, with Luka, forcing the envelope, with Tim Hardaway Jr. making some of his shots. They set it up so that Kyrie could have a moment like this. Luka can have moments like that too, but it's just not been set up as much this season. He's had to carry a lot this season. And so that's what frustrates you, is that if only they had better wing defenders, better rim protection, better rebounding, like all those things, this team would just be so much better because of the highs that Luka and Kyrie can get to, and what you saw in that fourth quarter. Like you said, Kyrie, 6 points in the first half, 25 points in the second half, like you said, including 19 in the fourth quarter alone. And he was dealing, like he just hitting shots that nobody else can guard. And in a playoff series, that's what you need. And they have Luka on the other side of the court that can do the same thing. And you just see, it's just such a tantalizing pair where you can just see where they could go with it, and why people were so high on it, why you and I were so excited about the possibility of them on the court and all that together.
Still, but never wagered on this duo. This duo is
the duo itself. Yeah.
He doesn't like the word duo.
Oh, Kyrie does not. No, yeah, he hated that when you brought it up to him. Yeah. But it just highlights how frustrating the rest of this team is around him, around those two, because they just don't give you a chance most nights. But in this one, they were able to, because of the crazy shot making of Tim. Christian Wood making shots in the fourth quarter too definitely was a big reason in all that. Josh Green getting rebounds, like they did some things. It's just gotta have a couple more, like 2-3 more role players. I know that for years we were like, just get a second star next to Luka, but that's when they had role players. Now they're 3 role players down and didn't really replace them with any, and now it's like, okay, now you gotta get role players back again.
Well, you gotta give the Mavs a little bit of a break, because they didn't recognize the pace of game. Mark didn't recognize the take foul and the pace that the game would change to, so that affects that affects how you roster build, right? And that's the take foul is why Dallas's roster is so flawed.
Explain yourself. Sorry.
We'll get to some quotes later on about that.
Yeah, that's Isaac calling out a Mark Cuban quote that he said earlier today. But in this game though, when we're talking about roster construction, in this game, I'm like, the Mavericks are not big, they're not athletic, they're not fast, they don't have enough ball handlers. Like, what is this team? Like, they have shooting, and they have that's it. They have shooting, and they have Luka and Kyrie. It's like, that's it. They have those 2 stars, and they have a ton of shooting. They do have that. But man, it just highlighted the frustrating things, and then also the great things about this Mavericks team.
Because that is their whole thing. It's so, you would think, on paper, looking at this team, you would say, oh, they're one of the fastest teams in the league, right? Like, because like they don't have some big, like, lumbering big man. They have these 2
don't they?
What?
He's not a 7-footer. He's 6'8", but he's also he's very lumbering.
I'm just saying, like, on paper, if you just told me, hey, this team has 2 dynamic top just creators,
Yeah.
top 10 creators in the league with all the shooting. There's, they're smaller than normal. And then they just have kind of a collection of bigs to just kind of throw out there that can, a few of them can hit threes and stuff. You're like, oh, okay, well, this team gets up and down, right? No, they don't.
Because they don't have athletes.
Yeah. So it's like the super slow pace thing, but we're going to run a lot of ISO. You have two amazing isolation players. It's just how they're going to have to completely, they seem very committed to Jason Kidd at the moment.
Yeah.
But all going to have to go back to the drawing board. If Kyrie agrees to the contract and kind of recreate this system, because what has been the system in Dallas can't be the system in Dallas moving forward.
Absolutely. Coming up, let's talk about this Kings game, how the Mavericks got the win, what happened in that fourth quarter. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Ibotta. If you're watching your closet grow after purchasing all of last season's trends, how about also watching your cash back grow with each purchase with Ibotta? You can get real cash back, not points, cash back. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, but with Ibotta, you can get real cash back and cash to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards, all that kind of stuff you can get with Ibotta. All you have to do to earn cash on every shopping trip, Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items from produce to personal care to pantry goods. Either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt after you shop and get cash back. So right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta using the code LOCKED, LOCKED, when you register. Go to the App Store or Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app, and use the code LOCKED. That's hilarious that it's a free app and it's called the Ibotta app. You're not going to buy the app. It's a free app. I bought the Ibotta app, but it's free. IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. Again, code LOCKED ON. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks everybody for making Locked On Mavs part of your day, part of your life, really. I had a bunch of people come up to me at the game tonight, and a bunch of people commented and said that they're fans of a different team that listens to Locked On Mavs. So I appreciate you. Had a couple DM me as well on Twitter, and a listener gave me this at the game cool. At the game tonight. It's a poster that is a painting from a group of painters in Ghana, and they do a bunch of like NBA stuff. And this is the double bang. It has bang
That's
on the top.
That's the most jacked Luka's ever been.
It's very true. And his jersey's ripped like he's the Hulk. But yeah, super cool. Deadly Prey is the name of the artist group there, so you can go check that out. But I thought that was super cool. Yeah. Listener gave that to me at the game tonight. Yeah. The Dallas Mavericks in this game. I know they won the game. There are times in this game where you're just like, athletes bother the Mavericks so bad. The quickness of De'Aaron Fox, he just was carving them up in so many ways. Malik Monk didn't hit a bunch of shots tonight, but his speed and athleticism just hurt them. Kevin Huerter, even his speed on the outside, like running around the perimeter, really hurt them a lot. And then you just have Sabonis to be like that one screen that they need between them and like a wide open shot. It's another reason why I'm just so frustrated with this Mavericks defense and how they match up and all that kind of stuff, the roster construction, all those things. But the Mavericks kept in this game by their three-point shooting. The Kings were shooting the three ball well early on. They were 4 of 6 to start the game, but the Mavericks finished with 23s. They've shot 20 of 44 from three. And your thing about rebounding has been the Mavericks can overcome a rebounding deficit because of their three-point shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to keep.
That's a classic tee-up. I know we've only done this for 6 years, but that's a classic tee-up where I bring up something that you are very passionate about, and I just leave it there on the table.
Because honestly, I'm almost just tired of talking about it because now nobody just gets it. They just like.
I still get tweets. I got a tweet tonight about it. I got multiple tweets tonight about it.
Yeah, I just get tweets, and it's just like, dude, you just don't get it. You just want to like come at me, and some people get really upset about it. I'm like, all right, I don't care that much about rebounds.
Isaac, for rebounding is life. Football is life. Yeah, rebounding is life.
You might make me a shirt and just say rebounds matter. But no, I mean, looking at the Kings though, I mean, I'm definitely going to root for them in the playoffs. I'm excited for them and all of that. Watching, to your point though, I'm glad you brought it up because I made a note in my notes app. I'm like, Fox just looks like he's like going at a different pace.
Yes.
There were times it just felt like he was one of those. It felt like he was one of those AAU guys going against just a normal, high school that it was just like, not as much as like the skill, but I mean, he's super skilled, but it's more of like the explosiveness because we're just not used to seeing that as much.
Oh,
and it's
I watched Zion
the rim so fast.
I watched Zion live in multiple AAU tournaments at different events that I worked, and it's kind of like that. He's obviously not as big and strong as Zion, but like just seeing a player on a different level athletically than everybody else around him, it was a lot like that, where you're just like, oh my gosh, he's so much faster. Wow. And Reggie Bullock got taken out of this game so early, like with 7 minutes left in the first quarter, because he just couldn't keep up with him. He couldn't keep up with Fox. They took him out, put Josh Green in, and Josh Green at least was able to be there when he was taking shots, like with Reggie Bullock or whoever else was guarding De'Aaron Fox. Like he would be taking a shot and the defender would still be trying to recover. At least Josh Green was there and got to that spot. And Josh Green, I thought, played a really good game. He 4 of 5 from the field. He had 9 rebounds, which were huge. He crashed the offensive glass and got his signature 1 offensive rebound. But I thought Josh Green had a good game, and it was one of the reasons why they held on to win.
Yeah, if Josh isn't on this roster next year, that's one of the positions they got to go get. They got to get a guard defender because right now, Reggie's just not that guy. He's more of the, let me take some of these wings, but guarding the super, the fast point guards, that's just not Reggie right now, and it has to be Josh.
I'll push back on that because we just saw in that Warriors game like last week, we saw him guard Steph really well. I just don't think he can do it every single night like that. Like I don't think he can guard a guard every single night or a super fast guard like Fox.
I was going to say, I think that would be my difference between Steph and Fox is like
his speed. Yeah.
You're chasing Steph around like screens and stuff like that. And like Fox, like with the ball in his hands, like speed, like a Donovan Mitchell, a De'Aaron Fox, like some of these guys are just really fast with the ball. But anyway, no, I mean, Alex Lynn came in and killed him on the boards. It's like, how is Alex Lynn playing in this game? The Kevin Huerter, Tim Hardaway little thing of like Tim smacking him in the face. And then
the flop in the third quarter.
Huerter getting pissed and, pushed him down. And that was a whole like fun thing. But I do want to give Tim some love in this. I mean, Tim hit 5 threes. And it felt like he was jawing a few times with the Kings players. With
Fox, back and forth. Like there's a moment where him and Fox were just like, I think it was in the third quarter where him and Fox were just like at each other, like through a whole stoppage of play.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, like I said, he had 5 threes in this game. It was huge, 24 points. Anytime Tim has over 20 points in a game, that's big time for this team. They need it outside of Kyrie and Luka. And I thought he deserves some praise in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim was great. 4 assists too for Tim, which is a lot, and no turnovers. And he finished
and a response to his dad.
Yeah, the dad thing. Well, let's save that for tomorrow. I don't think we're gonna have enough time to really dive into that, but we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Tim Hardaway Sr. came out and said that Luka and Kyrie aren't leaders, and then Tim Hardaway Jr. went to the Dallas Morning News and said, "No, I don't agree with that. They are." And so we'll talk about those comments on tomorrow's show, but. Yeah, Tim was excellent in this game. He really kept them in it for a while because there were certain times in this game felt like the Kings were going to run away with it, and they totally could. Like there was a 13-point lead in the first half, like in the end of the second quarter, then into the first quarter, and then in that third quarter, the Mavericks really put the clamps on him a little bit. You could see the tired legs of the Kings. Like I'm not gonna lie, tired legs of the Kings. And in the fourth quarter, there's a bunch of just bonehead Kings mistakes that they wish they could have back. Like what was that turnover that Sabonis had that Christian Wood just like grabbed? That was such a weird play. But they had 5 turnovers, and the Kings had 5 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Mavericks had 7 points off of turnovers. The Kings had 0 points off of turnovers. Like that, being good in those like key areas is so big for the Mavericks. They don't usually turn the ball over a lot. And if they can force some turnovers, then that's huge for them. And that's how, they got this win.
Yeah. And I want to go back to Kyrie though, because in the second half for Kyrie, I mean, their season was basically on the line, right? I mean, they lose this game. Yeah. Now you're asking, OKC has to lose the final 2 games. You have to win the final 2 games, which it looks like Chicago's probably going to sit some people on Friday, and Spurs, they don't give a crap about anything. But Kyrie in this game, do or die, season on the line. This is what an experienced champion does. Played 22 out of the 24 minutes in the second half. He was 9 of 15 from the field, 60%. He was 6 of 7 from 3 in the second half. It's 86% from 3. He had 25 of his 31 points. He was a plus 19. This is all the second half. I mean, Kyrie basically is like, hey, I got like I'm not coming out of this game. I'm going to stay in this game. I'm going to take it over, and our season's not over yet. That's what players like him do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what that changes everything. That changes everything for your team when you have somebody else that can do that, and you just wish you could win around the edges more, the rebounding, like in the trenches. At a certain point in this game, in like end of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, the crowd was like dying for something to be exciting. And they were cheering, like outright cheering as if a 3-pointer went in or a massive dunk went in, like outright cheering at every defensive rebound. Like every single one the Mavericks got, because they were so rare, because they gave up 22 offensive rebounds to the Kings in this game. And I thought that was crazy. I was sitting next to a couple guys and I was like, if this Mavericks team was an NFL football team, like they wouldn't be able to tackle. They wouldn't be able to finish any plays, like any defensive plays. And that's what it feels like with these rebounds and that's why they hurt you so bad, is that it just keeps another possession alive. Your defense has to keep churning your legs and keep, working and working. And then you're like, they play good defense for like 23 seconds. The shot goes up and then they don't get the rebound and finish it. It was just so brutal at times in this game, but they held on to win. 20 3-pointers. That was massive. They didn't have a ton of turnovers in the fourth quarter. That was huge. Luka and Tim Hardaway set them up. Kyrie and Christian Wood also in the fourth quarter helped seal it basically and win it. But coming up, let's get into Mark Cuban's comments. He talked about, of all things, Jalen Brunson. He talked about the Mavericks roster construction, whose fault the roster construction is. He took blame. Why? Why did Mark Cuban talk? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one sportsbook in America. It's also the number one sportsbook in our hearts at Locked On. Go check out FanDuel and see what's available for you with your first bet. First bet, no sweat, up to $100. Bonus bets that you can get right now. So you can bet up to $1,000, and if you don't win, then you get it back. FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's free. Check that out. See what's available. Download their app. Tons of Locked On listeners are downloading their app. It's making us look really good. We appreciate you guys. So if you want to help us out, download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. They have all kinds of stuff here. They have player double-doubles. I don't know if here's one that matters to us. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 6+ assists for Oklahoma City against the Jazz, plus 176. You can bet on all kinds of weird stuff like this. Talen Horton-Tucker, 3 threes against the Thunder, and Utah to win. That's plus 630. Jalen Williams plus 25 points in Oklahoma City to win, plus 520. So if you want to hedge your bets on watching one of those teams win or lose, you can bet on the opposite side of it. So go check it out. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon. All right, Isaac Harris. Mark Cuban spoke to the media before the Dallas Mavericks game against the Kings and had a bunch of things to say, including some comments about Jalen Brunson and the roster construction and all kinds of stuff. What was a big thing that stuck out to you? Which quote comes to your mind first that you want to get into?
So I think it's important to...
I want the audio listeners to know we got the full Isaac Harris look up into the sky as if he was looking at God. Full rub his beard like he was thinking about something very deep and thought like a philosopher. And then he sighed really deeply and then decided to talk.
Yeah, it was my connection real quick of like, God, how far do I want to go with this? Because, once again, Cuban used to talk to a bunch of us before the game all the time, before almost every game, Stairmaster, connected to the locker room, all this stuff. It was pre-COVID.
And he would sweat on you. It was weird, but
yeah, but there's one of the coolest things because like what owners are doing that, right? Like what owners is giving you access and been able to ask some questions, all this stuff. Now, he gets to the games, then, post-COVID, all this stuff. It's like he gets to the game super early, gets the shots up, all this stuff. You get there super early and maybe hang out on the side, all this stuff. So if he does go and sets down and allows reporters to come over, it's either like a 1-by-1, it's like kids waiting in line for like Santa Claus at the mall and to like sit down and talk to him for a few minutes. But then every once in a while, it's like somebody will sit down, then like another person will come up and like hold their phone, and then it's a free for all, and then everybody's coming up over there. And so basically saying like Mark knows that if he's going to sit down like that and start talking to reporters, he knows that, all right, here we go. Let's just fully do this. and let's go. So I started seeing all the quotes, and I'm like, holy crap, what is going on? Mark's saying a lot of stuff. And so anyway, the first thing obviously that hops out was him talking about the Brunson thing and the Brunson departure. And to me, it just comes across as like, all right, we're obviously not in a good spot right now. He tries to own that a lot and everything, but just the whole, like, I'm really curious to see what Jalen Brunson's going to say, because now I feel like Brunson has to say something. Like the fact that, Cuban saying things went south when parents got involved, and was like, and him
talking about Brunson's dad. Yeah.
Direct quoting like Rick. And then he pulls out his phone and drops receipts to like reporters on like, here's some text messages, from Nico and Aaron Mintz, JB's agent, like all this stuff. And I mean so like, and why do you say this? Why do you drop those quotes? Why do you drop these things? Because you're getting heck for it right now. Your season's is sucking right now. Jalen Brunson's doing awesome, and it makes you look really, really bad. So you want to defend it. And it's a tough look, man. There's no way around that. It's just kind of a tough thing to kind of, rehash that or try to explain your side of it. And yeah,
with the Brunson thing, the comment that got me was that, we wanted to re-sign him, but we didn't get the chance. Like we didn't get a chance to in the offseason. And you're like, at this point in the season, it's been a whole NBA season, right? Of this. Like, why talk about this now? Yes, he's asked about it, but why not just do that one really hurts. Like, we wish we could have that one back. Love that Jalen Brunson is doing great with the Knicks and wish nothing but the best for him. Like, just do that. Like, what are you gaining from talking like this and saying like, he didn't give us a chance. Like, it was him that scorned us. It wasn't us that messed up. It was him that did like that scorned us and didn't give us a chance. And it wasn't fair for him to leave like that and all that. And then like there was the tampering stuff with the Knicks and the Mavericks. Like did the Mavericks apply for that, or did the Mavericks send a note to the league on that and everything?
But even like we've both never had the biggest issue with the offseason, because it's like by that point, then you probably like. He had his mind made up. He was going to go, and it's like whether he gave you a shot or not. But the bridge was burned earlier. Like,
but even if that was true, but why, if you're the Mavericks or if you're Mark Cuban now, say we didn't even get a chance in the offseason, instead of just saying, hey, he had his mind made up. We had missed the boat on that already. Instead of saying like we weren't given a chance, like as if only Brunson had given us a chance, he could have re-signed with us.
Well, I think it's just trying to, pass the blame. It's like, hey, well,
for sure,
you can't blame me if we didn't even have a chance. So, I mean, that's why he's trying to say it. So, but it where it gets muddy is, and why all the other stuff was talked about was, okay, well, what about the extension before? What about the trade deadline stuff? Going into the trade deadline and possibly trading him and all that stuff. It's just wild that's still being like, we all know that this will be a moment, like the moment that didn't trade Brunson or extend Brunson and he left is going to be a thing that's going to be talked about for a while. But the fact that it's like the third to last game before you potentially have it like in this disastrous of season. And now this is like a huge talking point again, to where Brunson's going to get asked about this. And honestly, I wouldn't blame Brunson for like firing back, because if I'm JB, I would be sitting there saying like, yeah, can you just leave my dad out of it? Like I chose to go to the Knicks, like you're saying that all the stuff went south when my dad got involved.
That quote is brutal.
Yeah. So like, that's where I would probably fire back, and I wouldn't like blame it if I was him. Kyrie stuff, I thought there was an all-time quote, like a hilarious quote that I was like chuckled that I'm like, oh, Cuban, let's go. This is so funny. He was asked, Tim McMahon tweeted this out. Mark Cuban says, re-signing Kyrie Irving is the Mavs' top summer priority. What about Christian Wood? I'm not going to go through individual players, Cuban said.
Yeah.
So guys, if you want to get Christian Wood jerseys, I don't know if they're already discount in the hanger. But we got 2 games left. So
don't buy them until they're like, don't buy them because they're going to be discounted because, oh my gosh. I guess they just didn't know what they were getting themselves into with that because the change is just, I don't know.
There's so many quotes though from this. I know you're going to talk more about it tomorrow. Just a lot of quotes on there. The one that I was alluding to earlier, was, there's a lot of, him backing Nico with Jason Kidd, which I get. If you're committed to Kidd, you're going to do that. But him taking blame for the roster construction. Once again, I get it. Of like, hey, I want to take the blame off Nico because like Mark can't get fired. So, Cuban can just take the blame off of Nico and whoever and be like, hey, it was me. All right. It was me. I'm the one. But when he did the whole, like, I didn't think about the effect of the take foul and the fast, the pace of the game picking up and all that for like the reason of like the roster construction. That was an interesting quote.
I don't think it's Kidd's problem that we didn't have an identity, Cuban said. The game changed in ways we didn't expect it to change, so I blew it. It was on me personally because the game changed in terms of the take foul and the speed of the game.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you almost do like a whole segment on that quote. Just like...
And I probably will tomorrow. Come back tomorrow on Locked On Mavs, and I'll break down these quotes a little bit more. I'll talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. and Sr. Great stuff on the show tomorrow. So come back, guys. Appreciate you for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.